I love a film that talks about preserving culture through music and
Yeah.
dance and art.
I realize I'm the only person who's on the Deva fan club. Not even Shahid Kapoor is on the Deva fan club.
It played at Mami 2 years ago. Little did we know then that those were good times. These are not. Because these are the kind of films they don't want you to watch, and I think it's our job to seek it out.
I thought the casting of Babil Khan, who is notorious for being nice, as an influencer whose job is to be nice, is great casting. It's just very smartly done.
I think this was probably the most fun I had watching a movie in a hall this year.
Superboys of Malegaon is on everyone's list except Suchin.
Wait, Suchin.
Suchin, now you say.
Here?
Now you say.
What
is
is
wrong?
with you?
Hi, welcome to my channel, my friends. Rahul, Uday, Ishita, Suchin. Hi.
What's
Hi.
Exactly. Say it. Say hi, guys. Say hello. All right. So here we are gathered one more time for the last time, likely in this year. Yeah, for the last time in this year. We are talking about our picks of the year, best of 2025. Now, what I have done is I've asked everybody to share their favorites, and I have a list of titles. And what we're going to do is, what I like to do is go month wise, like January mein kya dekha, February mein kya dekha, aisa karke. And then basis that we can start going through our stuff. I have a whole presentation in front of me. If you guys want me to begin, shall we begin, or do you guys have any notes that you want to say before we get into January? Suchin, this is your first time joining this group. How about you start? Say something nice.
No pressure.
I like this group. This is really fun. I don't remember anything I watched this year. Apart from that, I can't wait to talk about stuff.
Okay. You guys, shall we start?
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, now add to stage, best of 2025. Remove this. Add this back up. Okay, January. Our first picks from January, best of 2025. Suchin and Rahul have both picked Black Warrant. Rahul, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, Black Warrant, one of the best shows this year. Actually, one of the best Hindi titles this year across mediums, I feel. And this always happens, I notice. Like OTT always like starts with a bang every year. Like the first 2 months have like the best shows of the year, and then after that you wait for like 8 months for the next good show. But I'm glad that like this felt like given that recently it was announced that season 2 might not happen. I felt like it was actually validation that this show was as uncompromised as I thought it would be, because it was like episodic. It was a bit of an anti-narrative. There was not much of it's not a conventional Hindi streaming, police procedural. And Zahan Kapoor was, I think this was a lot of people's first glimpse of Zahan Kapoor. I don't think a lot of us watched the Hansal Mehta film, in which he was also very good for us. But yeah, I'm so glad that Motwane and his team and all got what they wanted to make. And it was given that period shows, historicals can be so tricky these days, mess with facts, revisionism, so many things are happening. But it was really nice to just see a show sort of encapsulate an India that was in the 1980s without really, trying to be too controversial about it. I thought it did a fantastic job of doing the entire sort of anti-system journey we tend to see in a lot of these titles. And the performance of the cast was great. I was quite surprised with the fact that Netflix greenlit it also, so which was a good thing, I think.
I don't know why my face is bigger than everyone else while Rahul is talking. Well, no, absolutely. And then Rahul ke alawa, Suchin has also picked this. So now, Suchin, your face is bigger than everybody else. Add to Rahul's opinion on Black Warrant. January, first pick.
I'll say a few things. Firstly, it's surprising that this is not on Uday and Ishita's list, so something's off there. But no, I'll just add a few things to what he said. A lot of I'm a massive fan of the show. A lot of the things I initially struggled with about it, I've actually come to admire on hindsight, which is just how it doesn't fit in a box. It's not your traditional crime thriller, the way, the structure of each episode. And I've really come to admire that a lot more. Also, this is a show that I think will get talked about more and more each year from a landscape perspective, because this is a show that can only be made outside of the system. It was made and shot and Netflix acquired it. This is never the kind of show that would get made, if it's greenlit on a script level. It would become something far more second screen, conventional, all that stuff. And
Yeah.
I really think it's a sign of hope that despite so many things working against the streaming landscape today, great things can still come through it. And also just that cast. And one of the things that I still think about is it's just such an insane cast. Even on
Yeah.
hindsight, actors we know and love. Some actors we literally see for a few scenes within the jail, and they, it's one of the best casts in a year with some really really fun ensembles.
Now मुझे ये
Anyone
बताओ कि ये
want to talk about Siddhant Gupta here? No? Okay, cool.
I haven't seen Black Warrant, so I cannot comment on Siddhant Gupta at this point.
I don't think
but
you need to see Black Warrant to comment on him anymore.
I love commenting on Siddhant Gupta. Now, this has been happening for years now. Actually, since I first watched Jubilee, I've been loving to comment on Siddhant Gupta. And my partner in crime in commenting on Siddhant Gupta is our very own.
I am saying that you are not ready for him in this show.
I know.
You are not ready.
I know. मेरे को shows देखने का time मिलता नहीं है. मैं ज़्यादा नहीं देख पाती हूँ.
And Motwani just casts him. Also, I think he had a great year with accents because he was there in the Nikhil Advani show where he just he just hammed the fuck out of it. And here also, he's doing his own thing. I don't want to spoil it for you, but you should watch it, and he's just great.
Okay, great. So that is our first pick from January, starting off strong with Black Warrant. Going to the next one, we've got The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Now, this is only on my list because I don't know if y'all had a chance to watch this movie. This is the Mohammad Rasulou film from Cannes that premiered earlier last year at Cannes, and it finally actually miraculously released in India in movie theaters. It's a fantastic, phenomenal movie about a patriarch in a family of 3 women. So he has a wife and 2 daughters, and how he works for the Iranian regime, and how the daughters have to spend their whole life suppressing their feminist desires to have a more free, equal society, and how one day that dam breaks. And the climax of this film that Mohammad Rasulou creates, it's magnetic. It is so thrilling. In ways that shouldn't be possible, but it is. There is a gun involved. The gun, it's a magnificent movie, and it is 100% in my top 5 or 6 films that I've seen in the last couple of years. Mohammad Rasulow's The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Did anybody get a chance to watch this movie at all?
Yeah, saw it at Kerala last year.
Yeah, it's pretty great, right?
Fantastic. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is a fabulous film. Okay, shall we move on to the next one? We're still in January, and the next one, Suchin and Rahul again. Suchin, you start us off with this Jaideep Ahlawat starrer.
Again, why is Uday and Ishita not on? Why is this just the 2 of us thing?
I knew he would start with that because I haven't watched it. That's the only honest answer. I haven't watched it.
I didn't know we were allowed to choose shows, so I just chose movies. So my pick is going to
That's what I'm saying. No, I haven't chosen any shows either. I've only done movies. So whoever wants to put anything with this, everything goes here right now. Suchin, go.
Okay, I will do my best to do justice to this with December Brain. No, I literally, I think it's some of the most stunning storytelling we've seen come out of the streaming landscape, full stop. I thought the first season was this very, very raw, very, very angry show. But everything he was trying to talk about was sort of sometimes at odds with the sort of the plot and the conventions of long form storytelling. And I felt all of those kinks were ironed out so beautifully with this one, where sort of it works so well as a really sort of solid murder mystery. And then there's so much more going on beneath the surface with the politics, with the setting, taking us to the Northeast. And nobody does it like Sudeep Sharma. I mean, there are so many little things I love about, even characters who are on screen for like 60 seconds feel real. They're not just in service of a scene. They literally feel like it's sort of living, breathing people. Right. I think Akram Chaudhary is one of the all-time great characters, full stop, streaming and otherwise, of the last decade. And that performance and that character. And this season really took it to the next level.
This, of course, is Pataal Lok season 2. Rahul?
No, everything Suchin said, and I'm just going to add, like, it has also one of the best scenes of the year.
I'm so cool.
With Jaideep Ahlawat and Ishwak Singh in a car. I think it moved the heck out of me when I watched it. It came out of nowhere. Typical pre-death character scene, but you also don't see it coming. So much compassion, so much humanity in that one scene, more than entire films and shows have. There's more in that one scene, and it's Jaideep Ahlawat's finest moment in acting in a while. and he
Oh,
is
love
a
that.
terrific actor. And so,
Yeah.
if you see that scene, even out of context, it will make you cry. So, within context, I was a mess. Like, and the next like 1 hour was very difficult to watch. So, I think, yeah, no, it's right up there in terms of performances, and yeah, and to add to that, whatever Suchin said, I think Pataal Lok is world class. It's one of the only things we have that I think we should rightly be proud of.
Jaideep Ahlawat is
Also,
one of
Uday,
those actors. Sorry, Suchin. Say.
no, I was going to say, if that scene, that moment Rahul's talking about from episode 4, if that's not on Uday's best on-screen moment lists, then that's a crime. That's
तो उदय के पीछे क्यों पड़ गया? उदय ने क्या बिगाड़ा है तेरा? क्यों पीछे पड़ा हुआ है बेचारे उदय के?
Because he does a really fun list of best moments of the year, and that is one of them. So it should be there. Just saying. Backseat list.
Jaideep Ahlawat is one of those actors like we were discussing in our last live stream, right? You see Akshay Khanna on screen, you see Saurabh Deva on screen, you see Jaideep Ahlawat on screen. You're assured that at the very least, the scenes that he's in, even co-acting with anybody who's a much lesser actor, you're going to have a blast of a time. Action hero, strong recommend if anybody here has not watched that movie. My goodness, doesn't get better. Okay, great. So next one we've got Uday. Like, let's go. Uday, I don't even know what this poster is from. Please take us through this. In January.
It's a film.
This is Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. I'm so glad this didn't come immediately after Rasulov, because that would have just killed my career as a critic, I think.
As opposed to what?
Listen,
this
is going to be by far the dumbest movie on suggested out here today, but they give me great pleasure, both the first one and this. They're heist movies.
Take it away.
We have an unbelievable Gerard Butler in the lead. O'Shea Jackson is the second lead. In this one, they go to Europe. It is just very beautiful. If you like sort of meathead heist movies, I cannot recommend this more strongly. They are great fun.
All right, Den of Thieves 2. And with that, we already have finished January because Ishita has not picked anything in January. Nothing made your top list from January-ish, which is fair. It's fine. There are months that I haven't picked anything.
I think Ishita was busy traveling to other parts.
I was waiting for Rahul to intrude and say this, even though I was quiet. Let the record show.
You were just jealous that she went to Sundance.
Absolutely am. That's true.
Tu sirf jalta hai. Ishita se mat jalo. Okay, fine. Let's start February with Suchin one more time. Suchin, you've picked Deva, which I was interested to hear why. Because, well, tell us why.
I realize I'm the only person who's on the Deva fan club. Not even Shahid Kapoor is on the Deva fan club, but I will defend it very much. The first half of Deva, some of the most fun I've had watching anything this year. I just love that character and performance. You know, it was just that high voltage, insane masala action hero. And I was uncomfortable with how much fun I was having with it. There's nothing he could have done, the character could do, where I'm not just having a blast watching him. It's the second half, which is Dave B, where it gets more plotty and stuff, where it just didn't work for me. The actual story and stuff just went in places that I found a bit silly. But just from a character perspective of just seeing him sort of unleashed and go for it, I had a blast. And his triceps, best supporting performance of the year. But no, I really, really, really enjoyed that character. And I also think it's a very underrated Bombay movie with how they shot Bombay. But yeah, I had issues with where it went. But I just feel like that's a character and performance that doesn't get talked about it.
Bless you, Suchin. Bless you and your sweet little heart. Now, unless anybody has any thoughts on Deva, let's move on to the next title. Anybody has thoughts on Deva, raise your hands or forever hold your silence. And silence it is. February. Oh, we start. Oh, Deva. Maitri has messed up my thing. This was supposed to be in February or was it supposed to be in January? Anyway, maybe I messed it up. January. Okay. Well, we hadn't finished, so it was my bad. Now we're starting February. Superboys of Malegaon is on everyone's list except Suchin.
Wait, Suchin.
Suchin, now you say.
Here?
Now you say.
What is wrong?
Firstly, now that I've established I like Deva, my voice is far more credible than all of yours. Let's just say that.
Really?
This is a very good film. It just didn't work for me as much as everyone else. I just couldn't. I had a few issues with aspects of it, the time jumping, the structure. I just found that the way they went about it, it wasn't the easiest to invest in. I just love the idea of the film more than anything else. But yes, I this is still a film that I will very much proudly celebrate, but just not on my top list.
Okay, great. So Ishita, you're going to begin now because you haven't had a chance to pick anything yet. Go.
Superboys of Malegaon. It's written by Warrant, directed by Rima Kakti. It's also, I think, in hindsight, when I was making the list, I liked it more because it's such a tender film, and given that we have had, and it's such an effusive love letter to cinema. You know what it can mean. It's obviously taken from a documentary, which last I checked was available on YouTube. It's a great documentary, but I think in the film, it's the underdog story is very well fleshed out. And also just a fuller realization of what cinema can mean to people. You know, I really liked that in Superboys of Malegaon, everything becomes better with the mention of cinema. Like when, you know, the lead character has cancer, the doctor is like, you know, ye Rajesh Khanna ko hua tha. So I like that how they have used cinema, you know, not just as a prop, but as like an antidote to where we are, how we are living. So yeah, I think the Superboys of Malegaon, very nice, sweet, tender love letter to cinema. Great performances. I think Adarsh Gaurav was very, very good. He has a very interesting role, and I think I was really taken by his performance.
Yeah, no, it's always wonderful to watch a movie that you know has been made by hardcore cinephiles, people who just love movies, and a bunch of them together. Uday, your thoughts on Superboys of Malegaon? I watched the movie in Toronto before anybody else, and if anybody wants to hear some interviews of the people associated with the film right after the film premiered in Toronto, including Nasir, who is the character that Adarsh Gaurav plays. Nasir, his name is, right? I haven't revisited it in so long. Who's the character Adarsh Gaurav plays. So he was with the filmmakers in Toronto, and I also have an interview with him and Varun Grover sitting together. So if anybody wants to watch that stuff, it's on my channel. Uday, go.
All of what Ishita said, I like Shashank Arora's performance a lot in this. I mean, it's the obvious, like, heartbreaking performance, as in he has the arc for it, but he's also just wonderful, and there's like a gentleness to his thing throughout. Like, he is very clearly like a failure and very bad at, you know, even that level of filmmaking, but it's, you know, it becomes very tender in the end. Just a very sweet film, and it's kind of I think it'll kind of, when people rediscover it like a couple of years later, I think it'll kind of do quite well. I think it'll sort of hang around.
Do you agree, Rahul, the film deserved more? I mean, of course you agree that the film deserved more.
I mean, no doubt about it. I was surprised it didn't do any business, but that is no longer a parameter for how good or bad a film is. So
it was very surprising. I thought it might go the Lapata Ladies route, you know, film festival में आ गई, किसी ने ध्यान नहीं दिया, release हो गई, ध्यान नहीं दिया, but जब streaming पे आया तभी किसी ने ध्यान नहीं दिया.
I thought it was like really feel good in a obvious sort of way that would win over audiences, but it's fine, you know. I made peace with that. I think the last 10 minutes also, some of the more moving last 10 minutes I've seen in Hindi films this year. It reminded me very much of Merry Christmas last year, in the way they use music, and in the way they used heartbreak as a catalyst, you know. So it all came together beautifully in the end. Can I just say, I was sitting next to Suchin during the screening, so I could sense that he was not as impressed as I was, but then I was looking through cloudy eyes because I was like crying by then.
Yeah, it is also a very good
I do want to say no, I think the release got watched a bit in terms of why I didn't find a bigger audience, because it was like an Amazon film, but it's the first one where they started doing a theatrical release, so people didn't know it was out in theaters when it was there. People, like, there was a lot of weird messaging, and I think any chance it did have to find an audience was kind of screwed over with just the way it was released.
Unfortunate, because it is definitely a film that I would recommend people go watch. And in fact, when I was making my my top 5 best of 2025 for IMDb, I realized that this was the only film made by a female filmmaker that was on my list. I've watched a lot of films and I liked a lot of films, but this was the only one made by a female filmmaker. So definitely go watch Superboys of Malegaon. It is on streaming. It's easily accessible. Now, up next, let's go to Conclave. Rahul, you pick Conclave, which if I realized that it had released during that time, I would have picked this too. Rahul, talk to us about Conclave.
Same.
Ray Fiennes, man. Mwah.
I mean, technically it released last year, but in India it released this year.
Works.
But no, I'm anyways a big fan of like papal thrillers in general. Like I enjoyed even the trashy ones. Like, so So to watch Conclave, big fan of the director Edward Berger. I think he's such a master of his craft, and I was very intrigued by the fact that he chose this and the way they've cut the film and the way they've sort of constructed it was very unlike what I probably expected a film of this genre to be like, because I've seen Angels and Demons and a lot of that, the trashy papal ones, but never something as tense as this, even though there was so much talking, so much human interaction in it, so much, so much interpersonal dynamics happening, a lot of voting happening in. So I think very contemporary as to what's happening in the world, but also so pulpy and entertaining in its own way. And I could watch scenes again and again. Like that's how, and I love the fact that they went with the ending they did with with the revelation they did, because I mean, the last thing you expect is the church to be woke, and I think they pulled a fast one there. So I think it was it was a sappy thing to do in terms of a cinematic sort of thing, but I think they pulled it off very well, and I was sold. And it's just the filmmaking; it had to be that.
And again, it has one of the actors, except, there's also Isabella Rossellini, but it has one actor who you see on screen and you're like, you're in for a good time, Mr. Stanley Tucci.
Yeah.
Same
Always.
category of actors. Okay, great. Up next, we are going to move on to Suchin's Misses. Now, Suchin, this is a remake of The Great Indian Kitchen by a female filmmaker. So here we have another one. Go ahead, Suchin.
Yeah, so I know I'm also slightly in the minority because, again, this film gets compared to Great Indian Kitchen, which is an excellent film. But I do think it was one of the few films where it did feel like a very sincere sort of remake. I thought it's one of Sanya Malhotra's best performance. And overall, for me, the impact of the film still helped. I still felt all of the rage. I still felt all of the things because it's very easy to step into a film like this. You're constantly comparing, you're constantly looking. And yes, it obviously is not as strong as The Great Indian Kitchen, but I really still felt all of the same things. And I really do think that I also heard that it got a massive audience on streaming, which was very, very hopeful. A film like this, and I'm still a big fan of this one. And like I said, I think it's one of Sanya Malhotra's best performances.
And that's fair. And if anybody wants our more detailed thoughts on it, I do believe that we discussed this film on one of our live streams back in February. So I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that we did. But if anybody wants the rest of us, what we think about Mrs. and why it's not on our list and why it's on Suchin's, please feel free to reach out to all of our earlier reviews and that live stream. Now, up next, we've got... Oh, that's it for February. Yay! Wow. Uday, are you awake? Look alive. Yeah, let's go. All right, I'm going to begin with Sthal, Jayant Digambar. This movie also premiered in Toronto, and I do believe that it won a prize at Toronto when it premiered a couple of years ago. And it's a fantastic Marathi film about this. Again, I'm drawn to this kind of storytelling as well, very similar to The Seed of the Sacred Fig, about this young girl who's spent her whole entire life suppressing her desire to be an equal. And when she does try to step even 1 foot out of line, how the entire village that she is in, everybody there tries to pull her back. And it's a fantastic movie. I think it's available on streaming as well right now. Nothing gives me more joy than seeing small independent filmmakers put together teams and make the films that they want to make, take them to international platforms, win the awards at international platforms, and then have something to show for the work that they've done. I do not know what this filmmaker is doing now, if he's got another project, but like him and Rohan Kanavade, these stories are so authentic, so real. There is not an iota of facade in this movie. So if you get the opportunity, please watch this small Marathi film, Sthal. It deals with arranged marriages and education and family, and phenomenal, very good film. Did anybody have a chance to watch it at all?
Yeah, I've watched it.
It's really good. Okay, great. Up next, now that we've started March, we are going to go to Suchin again for Studio. Wonderful pick. Love this show. Every episode is a masterpiece. Suchin, go. I feel like it's only Suchin and I talking at this point. Uday ko to mauka hi nahi mila hai. Gerard
I'll
Butler
let you go first because I know Uday's a fan of this show as well. There's no way I'm the only one who likes the studio.
No, but Uday's not picked it on his list. No, you start. Your name is on screen.
Cool. No, I'll keep it short with this. For me, this show is an achievement in comedy. It's an achievement in sort of satire at the film industry. I mean, it's so excitingly shot. I mean, it's just these amazing comedic actors playing off of each other with these, insane one takes. There's also all this sort of wisdom about how people don't like watching films about filmmaking in the film industry, and this show is clearly an exception to that. It also made comedy feel like an event. It dropped every week, and we really turned up every week to watch it, and it really felt like it managed to make sort of that feel like an event. It's also very weirdly prescient. It's in satirizing the landscape of Hollywood. It also sort of foretold so many things that I know it's just such a fine show, and those cameos are just excellent.
Absolutely. That's what I look forward to in every episode. Who's going to turn up? It's so fun. The whole Paul Rudd episode at the Golden Globes is just such good TV, man. It's fabulous. Okay,
Also,
shall we move on? Sorry, Ishita. Say Scorsese crying.
I said Scorsese weeping. What did you tell Marty? It's too good.
So sad. Apple TV पे इंडिया में अभी भी नहीं आई ना मिस्टर स्कॉर्सेजी वाली डॉक सीरीज?
Not legally. No.
Not legally. That's where we're going to end that. That's that. All right. Rahul, Ishita, and Uday have picked Follower that is releasing on Mubi at the end of this month. As we realized last week, I think they announced it. We spoke about this briefly in our last live stream as well. But Uday, do you want to talk about Follower?
Sure. Actually, this came from Rahul Ishita Reco on this show. The reason for that is it kind of tracks this guy's slow, gradual shift towards becoming an internet troll. He calls himself a journalist, but basically he's a troll, and it's quite fascinating. Directed by Harshad Nalawade. This is an excellent performance by Raghu Prakash as the guy who sort of becomes a extremist, or on the way to becoming an extremist by the end of the film. I think this went to Rotterdam, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it did.
And now finally getting a streaming thing. Very highly recommended. A lovely film.
Rahul, Nishita, have already spoken about Follower last week in our stream. So I would say if you want detailed thoughts, please go to our stream last week. But this film is coming out on Mubi at the end of December, right?
31st. Yeah.
What a joy. Good. Wonderful. Rahul, Santosh. Now, this film never released in India.
It technically did not release in India, but it did play at Red Lorry Film Festival, which was like in March then. And I think even Uday had come down for that. But yeah, that's when I took the opportunity to write about it also, because I don't think it's going to release either anytime soon.
No.
I think tragedy with the censors and this and that, and it's only proof that the film does its job very well. And it's not the first time a filmmaker, a sort of Indian filmmaker from the outside, has captured India better than most filmmakers do here. It's a very it's a film that could have gone wrong in many ways, and especially because it is about a female cop, it is about bigotry, it is about so many things that is basically everyday business in India these days. But I do think that it was really well calibrated. I think it was really well shot. Some of the better performances this year. I really wish it had commercially released, because I think it was phenomenally acted, like across the board. And I think that was one of the main reasons it really held our attention for so long. I mean, I know not a lot of people have watched it. I think it played at Mami 2 years ago, and little did we know then that those were good times. These are not. But yeah, if anyone ever gets a chance to watch it, I'd highly recommend it, because these are the kind of films they don't want you to watch, and I think it's our job to seek it out and sort of give it a platform, because otherwise there's no way to know what's happening here.
Santosh is the perfect celebration of this catchphrase I have, women telling women stories, because the way Sandhya Suri tells the story of this character that's played by Shahana Goswami, so it's wonderfully done, wonderfully acted. It's one of the finest Shahana Goswami performances, who is a very strong performer anyway, but you see her do this and you're like, she's just fantastic. And I wish we had more opportunities for actors like her to be bigger stars than they are right now. Okay, up next we. Sorry, yeah, bolo.
No, it's fine. I just want to say that Sunita Rajpur was also excellent. I think she
was.
was so good because she
So
keeps getting stereotyped in shows,
In the
and
TV also.
I was just like absolutely blown by her performance. She's just excellent.
Sunita Rajpur plays this morally, weird, like female cop,
Ambiguous,
also
huh?
ambiguous, who's a female cop who's risen in the system as a woman, but also she's very much a part of the very system that has tried to hold her down. So it's a fabulous character there as well. Next, we've got Suchin, Rahul, and Sucharita. No, I didn't pick Adolescence. I don't know why my name is on there. I did not pick Adolescence because I haven't watched Adolescence. Like I said, I don't get time to watch TV, so that's an error. But who wants to talk about Adolescence? Suchin, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I can. No, I mean, this is similar to what Rahul was, saying about Conclave. It's one of those shows where I love those sort of titles that work on two levels. They're very, very human and have something to say, but they're also incredibly, in quotes, engaging and entertaining. Both in terms of the craft and sort of the content. The craft was obviously insane. You have these massive long takes where you're constantly just wondering how the hell they pull that off. But I also love that it didn't feel, for me, gimmicky. It really felt like it was in service of the drama. I mean, that third episode, I think it is, which is that iconic sort of, not interrogation, but that which is just sort of one conversation in a room is just, from a psychological perspective, insane. But it's also just such a gut-wrenching show. And I think what really stuck with me most is the idea of masculinity, or call it wokeness, or call it sort of people online and toxicity, all of these themes and ideas. So many of us consider ourselves to be fairly aware of this stuff, or we know the basics, and you watch a show like this and it really makes you wonder a lot more of just sort of how minds are shaped with being on the internet, and it really left me with a lot to think about, which I thought was impossible in this sort of world, but just a hell of an achievement.
Uday, you had an issue with the long one take shots, no? In this show, you were not a big fan of those,
I
right?
was just going to ask.
Uday, peace.
So
I think
happy
it was there's a battle of pieces happening. I was like, it's not a gimmick. Then there's like there were pieces coming out from all sides.
I'll say that it really worked for me in episode 3, where I thought the storytelling and the idea of doing it in one take, it was perfect. Like there, it worked for me like hell.
Yeah.
In the others, I could take it or leave it, but even then, like if it had just been like a normally edited show, it would have been unbelievably good. And I mean, small shows or small shows that probably weren't expecting a huge audience have to be clutter breaking in some way or the other. If it is that, come see the one take show, then they succeeded really well, and they got a lot of people to watch a show about kids in school and having a really tough time. So how often does that happen?
Rahul?
I just wanted to Rahul, you go.
No, I have nothing to add. I mean, like, great show, and for me, the sort of one take thing added to the whole sort of theme in general. I thought like what it was trying to say about how, I mean, not just childhood and school, and like how online toxicity is sort of so porous and it can seep into every household. Even if the parents are totally functional, even if the families are totally, you don't know what's happening behind closed doors, which is great. Like I just thought that it's such a relevant thing, because we tend to whenever we see something go wrong in any household, see a kid lash out, we always think of the families and the parents saying that they've not brought them up well. But I think the show sort of punctured that bubble, saying it could happen to anyone, because you can't control the internet, you can't control what is being consumed on it, and there is, parents cannot blame themselves or die of guilt either. It is the world we live in, and for better or worse, this is what we can learn from other sort of cautionary tales. So I think great show, got its point across. The craft obviously helped a lot as well. But yeah, one of the best shows of the year.
So that is Adolescence, that is streaming on Netflix, an award-winning show at this point. A very sweet moment when the young actor, who's like 14 years old, I think, he won an Emmy, I think, recently. Did he not? That was a wonderful moment. Okay, great. Now we're going to move on to L2 Empuraan. Now, L2 Empuraan is my version of what Uday picked in January with the Gerard Butler movie. It is probably the silliest pick I have in this year. But I was just so taken by how, I mean, I can't even be saying this out loud today, but how brave this film felt. Prithviraj Sukumaran directs this film himself, and he casts himself in this role where he has come back for revenge for the Gujarat riots that happened 24 years ago. And as a young boy who lost his family in those riots and lost everything in those riots, he has grown up with this desire to take revenge, and he comes back, and it was just very massy, very pulpy. A lot of it was a lot like bizarre. It goes all around the world, this country, that country, this country, that country, the way War 2 did, and lots of it doesn't make sense. But I just felt like the fact that somebody wanted to tell this story the way they've told this story was just fascinating to me. And I feel like it's going to be a moment when we look back at what Hindi cinema was going through, not Hindi cinema, Indian cinema was going through in the years of 2020 to 2025, 2026. L2 Empuraan is going to be one film that people might look at, because the opening credits itself, I mean, I talk about this in my my review in detail if anybody wants to go watch that review, which is one of the most watched videos on my channel. The right from the opening credits, the film is so upfront with what it wants to say, and it doesn't look away from that through the runtime, which was fascinating to me. Anybody has any thoughts on this, or shall we move on? Okay, I think we're going to move on. L2 Empuraan was my pick, and now we're done with March. I think we're making good time.
Do we have to do like a jig after every month?
Babe, if you want to join me, I'm wearing a shirt with freaking seahorses on it. I'm in a mood to do jig after every this thing, because it's been a weird freaking year, you guys. We're celebrating as much as we can. I'm wearing a bright pink shirt. I've got makeup on. I'm going to do a jig.
That's true. I agree.
But mostly I'm doing a jig to just remind myself that we're making good time. We have to finish this in 2 hours.
Yeah. I think we're doing well.
Yeah.
I think we're doing fine. Let's start off with April, everybody. Okay, great. So everybody has picked Sinners except Ishita. Ishita, did you not watch Sinners?
I watched it. I did not write. I thought that was the parameter, that if you have not written, you can't put. That's why I didn't put it.
There's no such parameter.
Sense.
I thought. I don't know. I'm sorry. I also endorsed Sinners. I really liked it.
Ryan Coogler's Sinners. Ishita, you start off. Chalo, tum hi bolo.
Hey, don't put me in spot. Put these people who have watched it, they speak.
Okay, chalo, theek hai. Uday, you start off with Sinners.
I mean, just a wonderful thing. I think I saw it like twice in 3 days or something in IMAX, and it was just it was quite beautiful. It's just obviously wonderful performances across the board, but also just like such a fun riff on vampire myths. Like it's tough to kind of be that original with a genre that gets like a minimum of like 2 or 3 like high profile workouts every year. Like there's just like so many vampire films, like all, and it's I just thought it was very ingenious and really smartly done.
Rahul has a smart ass comment to make at this point. Go, Rahul.
No, I just coughed in a thama shaped cough. So I'm just like, whatever.
Coughs and Thama.
Too soon, yeah, I know.
Wait, so what about Thama? You think Thama was trying to be a Sinners?
No, just vampire lore and like how not to do it sometimes, I guess. And it's like,
we'll do more drive-bys on Thama, I think, with another film that's coming up.
That's fair. Yeah, for sure. It was Thama's worst nightmare before it came out, so that's fun.
That was so much
But
fun.
good year for vampires in general. I think Sinners encapsulates that, and like it's a film so full of life and history and just so much cultural truth and music, and it has so much going for it. And I've never seen a film sort of move me moment to moment the way this did. Like it just there was something in every scene, and even though like I just remember it for a very long time. For me, Challengers was that last year, very different kind of film, Sinners, and such a vast scale in terms of its storytelling, in terms of its narrative, what it's trying to do, what it's trying to say about preserving Black heritage, music, everything. And I just felt it was, and it was also one of the rare times this year I really enjoyed dissecting a film and getting into it and writing about it, because that doesn't happen a lot with, like, I don't get the opportunity to get too much into like world cinema and Hollywood films, and because I'm so busy writing about Hindi cinema. But this reminded me that there is something out there that will still make us happy to do our jobs.
I love a film that talks about preserving culture through music and
Yeah.
dance and art. And that was also one of the most beautifully cinematic moments a couple of years ago in Kantara, the first one, when Rishabh Shetty transcends and transforms and does the Bhutakola, if I'm not mistaken, that dance form is called, that sort of performance storytelling is called. And similarly here in Ryan Coogler's Sinner, I mean, everybody's spoken about this ad nauseum, so I won't get into it too much detail. But that sequence when the lead character starts playing the guitar, and the musicians and dancers from decades and centuries ago and the future come and join together in this barn, which from the outside looks like it's on fire. It is just cinema magic, movie magic. Real quick, Suchin, you want to add to this, or shall we move on? Tell me anything you want to say. Sinners, baby.
No, I'll just add one point. This movie made me think about the idea of craft a lot, because craft is a term that all of us use, which is a sort of this fancy term that as if sort of that's what sophisticated artsy filmmaking is. And this film and a lot of Nolan's work in particular, it really makes you realize sort of how someone can really use that to make such an immersive, crowd-pleasing theatrical experience. Like I really feel like it's so much of the craft that makes people literally just submit to the film in such a big, meaningful way. It's not just sort of this artistic term, but it really is something that sucks you in, even if you just want an incredibly engaging film. Also, I just found it interesting that even though vampires are the hook of this film, what I really remember fondly was the first half of the film. Just sort of just living in this community with these people and their dynamics and their history. That really stuck with me more, which I found interesting. But a hell of an achievement.
It's one of the rare films this year that I've seen multiple times. I just couldn't get enough of it. You watch it once to like absorb the shock, and then the second time you really get into everything that the film is saying. All right, up next we've got Khauf. I have not watched Khauf. Suchin, Rahul, and Ishita have. Ishita, why don't you take this one?
Okay, finally a show. So Khauf. Wait, I have made notes. Okay, so Khauf is by Smita Singh. She is an excellent writer. She most recently also wrote Raat Akeli Hai, the new one. And it's a Delhi-based show. It's a horror show, but it's also very atmospheric, and it's also about how the city is really like terrible for women. And then there is a girls' hostel which is supposed to be haunted. And for the longest time, you feel like the ghost is almost the protector, because can really something scare you more than men in Delhi, for women? And then she completely flips it. And I think it's a very, very good show. Great performances. And also the idea of using horror and to show that, and to go for like no respite, in the sense that what Khauf does is that there is basically no place for women, not in this, like there is literally no country for women. So yeah.
Okay, Rahul, Khauf.
Yeah, no, whatever Ishita said, and I think it's the best Indian show of the year, like hands down for me. Like in terms of, in terms of the concept, in terms of the way they've used the genre of horror and supernatural horror per se, very, very smartly. As as Ishita said, the real horror is obviously on the streets, and that's the great subtext of the show. But also in terms of the genre, how we always assume that when a character gets possessed, it's always by a victim. It's always by someone who wants to take revenge for what happened to them in their life, or they have been wronged. But here, like someone gets possessed, they totally subvert the genre, almost as if to say that, men also own the afterlife, not just life itself, which is such a depressing but also such a real thing to say through a show that is so complex, that has so many tracks, so many characters going on. I think for me, it was also the best Hindi performance of the year with Monica Panwar. She's had a great year, obviously, in Nishanti and all, but like the physicality of her in this, it's such a difficult role because you do not know what's happening with her character. You do not know who she's being possessed by after a while. You do not know if she's good or bad, if she's a victim or survivor. You have no idea, but she just pulls it off so well with her frame alone. She doesn't even need to speak much, and she commits so hard to it. I think, it's the finest piece of storytelling in Hindi cinema this year for me.
Also,
And
it just helps that
it? Sorry.
On Prime, yeah.
Say, Ishita, say na.
I'm saying that it helps that Pankaj Kumar, who is like this great cinematographer, who's shot Tumbad. He is also the director of Khauf. So he's also shot Delhi in a very. It's almost like it reminded me of how Calcutta was shot by Proshit Roy in Padi. It's just that it just looks evil. It looks like you can smell how damp the space is. So it's very well shot.
I love that. Suchin.
Basically everything they said. I mean, the only couple of things I'll add is exactly like they were both saying, that just the idea that this show has so many supernatural elements. There are ritual killings and sort of creepy spirits, and nothing comes even close to what it feels like to be on a bus pressed up against an army of men, or walking down a dark alley at night and just sort of engaging with and navigating with the city, as a woman, and just the idea of using sort of horror cinema to really bring that psychological dread to life, of what it means to constantly live in fear. I thought was so well done. Also, some of the finest horror casting. I mean, we don't see enough horror coming out of cinema, but such good horror casting. There's Rajat Kapoor and multiple other actors in it. It was so well done. And just one of the best things to come out of streaming this year for sure.
I love that. Watch Khauf on Amazon Prime if you feel like this is convinced you enough, if you haven't watched the show quite yet. Suchin and Ishita have both picked Logout, which I am surprised by because I found the film to be extremely lacking. Ishita?
First of all, I thought the casting of Babil Khan, who is notorious for being nice, as an influencer whose job is to be nice, is great casting. It's just very smartly done. And I liked how the film dealt with the whole parasocial relationship. Like, of course, there is like Motwani's control is a precedent, of course. Like, how an influencer is trapped in their own fame. But I liked how they turned the gaze almost on the people who are getting influenced. It's like the influencer. It's like pushing the influencer to take onus for what they are influencing or who they are projecting to be. I thought it was very smart, and the fact that it was written by, I think it was written by Vishwapati Sarkar, who is part of Thieves. So I think that he has a pulse also, the way the internet works. So, but for me, I think I also put Logout to talk about Babil's performance. I thought it was very, very good because it's also, it's not a very physical performance. He's trapped in his house. But his face is like so evocative, there's so many things running on his face. Like he really keeps you like engaged throughout.
Yeah, in that sense, it almost felt like a pandemic film shot in the pandemic because he's alone for so much of it, stuck in his own apartment. Suchin?
Yeah, no, everything Ishita said. For me, I really, really like that performance. He is the film. It's one of those films where he is in every frame, and he really, really carries this film, which is by no means easy to do. I really like that range. He's very, very fragile, but then there's also the sort of desperation and frustration. I do obviously feel like the film does get away from itself plot-wise towards the end, but I still remember it for Babil, and also for getting the internet in quotes right. I mean, all of us will know that the first anytime you see social media or the internet in a Hindi film, it is such a deal breaker. You're immediately sort of turned off because it's activity, and you have all these pop-ups, and it's just very, very plastic. And this felt like a film that was really wanting to engage with the internet in an interesting way that felt real.
The flying tweets are my favorite part of a film about the internet. Like tweets that start when things start to go viral, tweets begin to fly from all direction. One of the most amazing things I've seen is Puri Jagannath's Liger, when Ananya Pandey's character goes viral overnight, and the next morning she wakes up and there's people under her building, I'm like, I wish it worked like that, but it doesn't. Uday, look alive.
Yeah.
Come on.
Let's go. Okay, look.
Ew.
Crocodile, look alive, look alive. This is a
Is he
gift I
hypnotizing us?
received in office, huh?
It looks like you're hypnotizing us.
Yeah, I'm hypnotizing
Oh,
Uday.
God.
Like, look at the tail though. It's really realistic.
It's the most agile tail I've seen
Yeah.
of a dinosaur.
You guys are
It's
so
a
mean.
crocodile.
Sorry,
It's not a
crocodile. I'm
dinosaur.
sorry, Lord. I'm sorry.
Absolute racism.
I'm sorry.
Okay, let's go. All right. So after Logout, we are moving on to Alappuzzha Gymkhana. Uday, how about you start us off?
I think this was probably the most fun I had watching a movie in a hall this
I
year.
love that. Suchin is nodding very vigorously. Yes.
It was just blissful watching this. It's by Khalid Rahman, Malayalam film about underdog boxers, sports comedy, quite heavy on the comedy. If you've seen Talumala, which is the director's previous film, you'll get an idea of his style. That was, I think, operating on a few slightly deeper levels than this. This one is just like sort of pretty much straight underdog sports comedy thing, but like just beautifully done, great fun. The fights are really well done too. I just enjoyed it a lot.
Suchin? Yes, you agree with everything Uday
Yeah,
said.
no,
And
ditto everything. That's what he said, but better. No, it's just such a fun action comedy. Like the sports were just incredibly cinematically shot, like the actual boxing of it. But obviously it's hilarious. It's also like an anti-sports drama. Like everything you think is going to happen or you're used to happening, it completely flips it on its head. And just the group dynamics between, it's like part slacker comedy also. It's a bunch of sort of useless men at a very specific, young boys at a very specific time in their life who think they can do something great. And yeah, it truly is some of the most fun I've had watching anything this year.
if you were wearing a black shirt instead of a white shirt, you'd look like a floating head, which would be a very fun visual to have on this video. Because look at you blending in with your couch
That's
a
the
little bit.
vibe I'm going for.
Let me show everybody thoda aisa bada karke. Oh, look at him.
Oh yeah. That's
That's amazing. Yeah.
Oh man.
Nice.
Who needs Avatar VFX? Screw that.
Okay, great. Alappuzzha Gymkhana ke baad. Let's move on to May. Oh, great. We're done with April. Rahul, do a little dance. This is the second time I've seen Rahul dancing. First time was at my wedding. And this is the second time, and I have videos of both times.
Tragic.
Great blackmail material if you ever cross me. Black, white, and grey. Love kills. Suchin and Rahul. Rahul, start us off. April.
One of the most innovative shows of the year. Didn't see it coming, and like I remember one of the fun things about this was Suchin and me tend to watch it like simultaneously on the same days, and we exchange messages saying, "Is this really happening, or what's happening? Whether it's bad or good?" And it was with this show, it was particularly intriguing because the format itself is a mystery. I had no idea I was watching a mockumentary, sort of true crime mockumentary till like a few episodes into it. And it's very innovatively even conceived. Like, how would you, everything, including like how we see true crime documentaries, you see the recreation parts and then you see the actual interviews, right? Yeah, everything is staged, even the interviews and the true crime part. So I'm like, who thinks of that? And also, it's such a great commentary on this entire true crime fatigue that we are going through. How in process of going through that fatigue, we tend to forget that a lot of it happens in the country, and a lot of it is templatized by streaming platforms, and we don't pay enough attention to what it's actually trying to say because there's a formula to everything. I thought this had some very smart commentary on that. I think it was. It also said a lot of things about the country, but for me, I was bowled over by the fact that they would come up with something so audacious in this streaming era, because this was why OTT started. This was the kind of shows, these were the kind of shows I expected to see throughout. And these shows are dying now. You see one black, white, or gray a year, and if we don't talk about it, nobody watches it sometimes. And this is the rare time I felt like Film Critics had a very good role to play in spreading love for this show. And I think, we should own that and take credit for that as well, because the filmmaker is so talented and the show has a great cast, and I think some of the better, yeah, just the staging, the sense of cinema, you can see so much certainty in the craft that I would highly recommend it to anyone looking for anything left of field this year, and without being alienated by it.
While whoever ki ghar ki ghanti baji hai goes and answers the ghar ki ghanti, I want to shout out Sony Live over here. Like
Yeah,
whoever's
Sunil.
commissioning shows at Sony Live really has an understanding of what good storytelling is. Suchin?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those few times where I've enjoyed the process of watching a show as much as the show itself. Like, because you're following an investigation, you're also literally investigating the show. I've had so many conversations with people. Obviously, there was me and Rahul watching it for the first time, and people who I've recommended the show to, and it's always the same trail of messages where you're like, wait, is this what you're sort of guessing constantly? It's sort of unreliable narrator on crack, but it's an absolute triumph of sort of form of content and subtext as well, because of everything it's sort of trying to sort of tell us about how easily we digest these media narratives, and the fact that right till the final moment, the final frame, this show has you eating out of its hand. It's one of those, I have no idea how the hell this got made. I'm just glad it did, because I've never seen anything like it. Forget Hindi cinema, anything that sort of playful, that uses the true crime packaging. It really is some of the most inventive sort of storytelling.
But देख लो भाई किसकी घंटी बज रही है, जाके देख लो, नहीं तो बजती रहेगी. किसके घर पे बज रही है घंटी?
That's fine, but it's open, so it's all good.
Okay, good. I also would want to shout out Sony Live for one more reason कि market क्यों नहीं करते हो अपने shows को? अगर तुम इतने अच्छे shows बना रहे हो, that the film critics here are saying that they enjoyed watching it and writing it and everything about it simultaneously, please market your shows so more and more people will realize that so much money and time and effort is being spent in making these things. Let people know about it. All right,
Very
up
Apple
next.
thing to do, though.
Very what?
Very Apple thing to do.
हाँ, dump कर दो, किसी को पता भी नहीं चलते चीजें. Correct. Final Destination's Bloodline, Rahul.
This
Okay.
is my passion.
This is your Empuraan.
I mean,
this is your Den of Thieves too.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, who doesn't enjoy watching
Bloodlines?
Like brutal deaths? You know how much I was looking forward to this film? Like, I was so excited going for the screening, and I was shocked because so much of the audience was young. Most of them were born after the first Final Destination film, which I was a big fan of and which sort of triggered my fear for flying, because it starts with a damn plane crash and one of the most realistic things I've ever seen. But this one was so enjoyable after so long, because I've seen all of the Final Destination films. It's one of those things, as a kid, I used to watch all the Scream films and all the scary movies. And, I was just a binge watcher of like horror and gore and even and parodies of this. So Final Destination is both rolled into one. It's like a parody
Hilarious.
as well as a very serious horror film. So, and I think it says some great things about, fate and destiny and how you're meant to die, the inevitability of sort of how you cannot escape your fate. So it's always been like that. I just think that this one did those meta nods to itself, like, how Dharma keeps doing it and all this, just did it so smartly, and it knows it's like 20 years old. It knows it's going through franchise fatigue. So it totally made such an enjoyable film, and I enjoyed watching people die on screen so much. I can't do it. It prevents me from becoming the psychopath I am.
God, Rahul, you're just giving ammunition to people.
No, come at me. What else is left?
अब तो क्या ही बचा है. Alright, Final Destination Bloodline के बाद हमारा अभी खत्म हो गया ये वाला महीना. अब कौन डांस करेगा? Uday, will you do a little shrug? Give me a shrug, Uday. Give me a shrug. Yeah, there you go.
That's just bhangra after a while, if there are 3 shrugs.
All right, moving on to the month of June. Let's start with Stolen. It is on all of our lists except Ishita and Suchin. Okay, I'll start off with Stolen. Karan Tejpal tells this phenomenal story, which, sort of like Homebound, is inspired from a real life event that was published in the newspapers, except that he takes the setting. I think the real life lynching that this film talks about took place in Assam, if I'm not mistaken. Took place in Assam many years ago. It did, right? And then, but Karan Tejpal takes it to the side of the country where he's grown up, where he knows the milieu, he knows the landscape, he knows the people, and he knows the anger in the people, and he knows what people are capable of doing when riled up as a mob. which is what this film does. Abhishek Banerjee is such a phenomenal actor in everything he does. He's one of the, and I've known him for a very, very long time, since he was in college in Delhi, because we were all, friends in Delhi back in the day in like the early 2000s. But he can do like a Stree, and he can do like a dumb film, like whatever those Ayushmann Khurrana phone call movies are. What are they called? Dream Girl. Blech. But he can also do something like this that is so intense. This film premiered at the Venice International Film Festival, which, as everybody knows, is a notoriously difficult film festival to get into. So it premiered there, it went there, and Karan Tejpal right now, I think the best case scenario for this film is that it is available to watch. People can stream it, and this film is on so many year-end lists because it's just that good. It's a small film, and it takes the genre, the road movie genre, and does so much with it, going from point A, B to C, internal journey and external journey coming together in a most fantastic, beautiful fashion. Uday?
Just another film like Follower that's just, I think, essential viewing for this time, for these times. Like if you want to
100%.
understand, why things are so bad, then you can depress yourself with this film. And yeah, small shout out for Harish Khanna as the cop, which I thought was just like a wonderful little performance, very tricky, and like really well done. And an actor who's just turned up in a lot of small parts lately and been very, very good.
Yeah. Who else had this on their list? Rahul, Hanji.
Yeah, no, I actually have nothing to add. I really thought it was a very sort of craftily made thriller that also was smart enough to admit its own blind spots, in terms of how privilege works, in terms of, because Abhishek Banerjee's character was that guy. I think even the filmmaker, in a way, was also confessing that he's that guy, and he's also using the
Absolutely.
film to call himself out and to also explore the fact that people from urban environments tend to tell certain stories in this milieu and tend to use the narrative in certain ways. And I think the film kept checking itself, which we don't see often, especially in these very tightly sort of wound thrillers. So yeah, great performance, very self-aware film. As Uday said, very necessary viewing as well.
And honestly, I watched this right after I came back from Cannes. I think I watched it late. Yeah, and then I watched, and then the film that won the Palme d'Or this year was Jafar Panahi's It Was Just an Accident. Has any one of you had the chance to watch it at a festival or something?
Yeah, we all did.
Great. And I feel like this is a great companion piece for that film. Of course, I'm not comparing it to Jafar Panahi, but in the sense that taking the road movie genre and turning it into this sort of survival thriller was just really worked for me instantly. Really, really did. Second Chance, Rahul. Subhadra Mahajan's film.
Oh yeah, very unassuming film, like, and one of the rare black and white films I put. Much to Uday's very great joy. I thought it was very. It's also the sort of quiet films, quiet indies you look for sometimes, and it's obviously a young woman going through a breakup, sort of spending time in the mountains. You know that trope, how it goes with people go through heartbreak, and then because you're urban, you think there's an escape in the mountains. Then you come of age in the mountains itself. But I thought this was very nicely sort of measured and very nicely sort of constructed in a way where it constantly allows you to be in the space of the protagonist, constantly allows you to know what she's thinking, what she's going through. You can tell that she started smoking a bit too much, because as opposed to like maybe a couple of years ago when she was happier, she's sort of starting to unravel. But also a very weirdly hopeful film for a theme like this. And I really enjoyed the way it was shot, the way it was scored. Great central performance as well. And yeah, it's just one of those films you hope to not forget by the end of the year, because there's so much happening. But this film has stayed in some part of my mind somewhere. It may not make a year-end list. It may not like be at the top of everyone's mind, but it changes you in a very small way, even if you're doing your job as a film critic.
Isn't it such a joy, though, to get together and just to think of all the films that we watched this year and how each one of them impacted our life in a little way or big way? Such a joyful thing to do, I think. Ishita has picked the Sister Midnight. Let's go, Ishita.
No one has picked Sister Midnight. Shame on me. Okay, so it's just it's just the most fun I had, because I think my mother was like really sick, and I had to like sneak out to watch this film. And I love that it was just freewheeling. Like you felt like the film was making itself up on the go. Like it was just becoming anything it wants to be. It's endlessly inventive, and great Radhika Apte's central performance. Also, you know how I really liked that there's this female at the center, this woman at the center who just doesn't know what to do or how to be a woman. Like should be a little like obedient. What should she do? And I really liked the conflict of it. Like it when I was watching it, I felt like the film made me question that, is womanhood like a default state, or is it like, what we are pushed to believe who we are? And there is this one scene in the film which I love, when she goes, she wants to basically be a cleaner, and someone is like, "Aapko cleaning aati hai?" And Radhika is like, "मैं cleaning की devti," or something like, मुझे बहुत पसंद. It's like she just doesn't know what is right, so she either goes extreme, like whatever. So yeah, I feel like it's very rarely, I think, a film comes when it just gives you so much joy to watch, and when you're not trying to make sense of it, you're just for the ride. I felt Sister Midnight was that film.
It is a fabulous film. I mean, no docking points from the movie. Karan Kandahari just tells the story in such a bizarre and fun fashion. And it's nice, wonderful to see an actor go along with the vision of a filmmaker, so in sync with how weird and wonderful they want the story to be. Fantastic Radhika Apte performance. Chaya Kadam is also in it in a small role. And this was the year of Chaya Kadam, where she was in Lapata Ladies and All We Imagine Is Light and Sister Midnight. All 2 out of 3 premiered at Cannes. And I watched the movie at Cannes. I thought it was a little overstretched, but it's a wonderful flight of fancy, and I love no docking points from it. Fantastic. Okay, great. In Transit, Ishita also Amazon original. Let's go.
I mean, I think it's like a small documentary which went under the radar. That's why I put it. It's by Aisha Sood. It's backed by Tiger Baby, Zoya Akhtar and Rima Kafi production, and I thought it was a very sweet, tender documentary on on, of course, like you have like people who are transitioning or who have transitioned. You get that bit, but it's also, I think, the treatment was very, very gentle and a lot of empathy. Like there we have these people, you see them with their parents, and I think that the documentary does not exploit the plight or their relationship. It generally tends to be in most cases when you tell stories like this. And I think what remained like in Transit, why it remained with me for a while is also, I think, the narrative choices it makes. For instance, there are no recreations, and which I hate in a documentary, like like Rakesh Roshan getting up in a car to be shot again. I mean, what is going on? But in a documentary like this, which of course has sad backstories of most people, there is so much chance to milk it, and I really like that they don't do it at all. They fill in with animation. It almost gives a nice sense of levity to their stories. So I thought it was very, very, very empathetic documentary.
Very cool. Moving on, Suchin has picked Predator, Killer of Killers. All of us have this one title in our list, right?
This
Suchin,
is also
this is yours.
a very empathetic documentary. No, I'm a massive fan of sort of like animation for grown-ups, and I feel like currently in the golden age of sort of genre storytelling within animation. And so I'm not a massive guy on the Predator franchise. This is something I watched on a flight. It's some of the most stunning animation I've seen in the action category. It has some of the most stunning choreography. It's basically, you don't need to know much about the Predator franchise. It's very self-explanatory. It's basically just a Predator rocking up at different time periods. One is sort of Viking, one is sort of samurai age Japan and stuff, and it's just absolutely stunning. There's not much of a plot. It's these insanely sort of charged action sequences that's insanely violent, but so stunningly animated. And yeah, I've never, it was very, very, very impressive. So yeah, no, it's one of my favorites animated wise this year.
All right, sure, buddy. Predator, Killer of Killers.
It says it all.
I love it. I love it, and you're amazing, Suchin. Okay, 28 years later, Uday.
Yeah, so this is a surprise of the year for me. It should not be, because Danny Boyle has always kind of been at the forefront of like new technologies, and he kind of pushes himself, and he's always surprising. And this was just, I mean, this just blew my mind, because if you've seen the first film which he directed in the franchise, it's kind of like a found footage thing, and it looks deliberately horrible. Like it's awful to kind of just look at. Like and this one is gorgeous. Like it's so beautiful. And his logic was that it's been whatever 20 years since the time of that, and since the apocalypse, things have become green, and it's set in Scotland, in the in a more less urban place, and things have kind of nature has taken over a bit. So there's like these crazy greens and lovely landscapes like throughout this film, and continues the story. And there is an absolutely wonderful score by this group called Young Fathers. It's just absolutely exceptional. And the most fun thing about that score is that if you hear it in isolation without actually seeing the film, there is no way you can guess that it's a horror film. It just sounds absolutely joyful. So and it's just such a smart use with this. I thought this was unbelievable.
Speaking of unpredictable scores for a film, I want to just hark back to Sister Midnight a little bit. It's a fabulous Bombay movie, but the score of that film was very unlike what you would expect a Mumbai movie to have. I wanted to make that point. And this is not Cillian Murphy, no, Uday, opposed to what everybody was thinking on the internet.
No. It's apparently not him. Though he might come back for not the next film, but the one after that. If it happens, then he might come back. His character might return.
My boy Cillian. Who's gonna do it now? Suchin.
I'm doing July. Oh, I'm doing the dance. No, I'll just do this thing because I'm a floating head.
If you're a fan of Fleabag, this Sorry Baby is darker than Fleabag, but it's still very, very funny. It still deals with very similar issues of female friendship, female bonding, and female expression in public spaces, which to me is a very important topic.
This is the proudest Rahul has been to be part, like a Gujarati. He came back and said, excellent film.
I mean, yes, because how many Gujarati films are excellent. I love it even more in December. Because of what has gone down in the last few months, because of the nonsense we've been put through and the nonsense we've watched.
I think Mari Selvaraj is one of the best filmmakers from sort of within
in our
cinema.
nation.
It's so nice to have like a film that respects the audience's intelligence and time.
Nishanchi only works if you watch both the parts together. I watched the whole film together as like a 5-hour mammoth viewing experience. Rahul's in the background walking away. The second half